running from racism, or is she running from the so-called black man? How could you be trying to solve this problem and you're running? Jay's Luggage says, women of color healing retreat. Yup, sound like a swirling retreat to me. Don't sleep. And I also noticed that these sisters use this whole sisterhood shit to cover up for their swirling tendencies. Don't get it twisted either. I have 4 beautiful sisters that I respect a great deal, and they're all married because my mom taught them well. Well, there's a lot to unpack there, bro. I agree with you to a degree. A lot of those women, at least the younger, more attractive ones, I'm sure that they've swirled. I'll say this, and I'm sure that most so-called black men who have worked in corporate America in that environment, or who've gone to a college or university that was multiracial, you know this already. Most of the good-looking so-called black women, they lay down with men of the other races, whatever those races may be. The so-called good-looking black women, they will lay down with men of the other races. And yes, a lot of the frustration that so-called black women have, the pro-blackity black ones have, is that they can't get them a man who's the most affluent in this society. It's frustrating. Once again, the real antipathy between the so-called black woman and so-called black man is that the black woman is frustrated that she can't get the so-called black man to be a black version of the white man because he represents success. All right? That's really what's underlying there. But the so-called black man has to learn to create a new paradigm for himself that the so-called black woman is going to have to accept. And it's going to have to be something that's functional. Right now, the so-called black man has certain paradigms that are projected out there into the world about him. The so-called hip-hopper, the drug dealer, the basketball player. Right? That's why you hear so many of these so-called black women. That's what they obsess over. They ask these questions about how come when black men get rich or they get famous, they go to a white woman. Who are they talking about? They're talking about rappers and athletes. Right? A lot of them walk down the street every day. They get hit on by the black garbage man, the black mailman. They don't give them the time of day. So it's an issue that has to be handled, but it starts with the black man. Mr. Glass said, "You see it too, huh? I thought I was the only one that seen straight through their bullshit." Monica Buttercup says, "Black men date marry out 4 times more than the women." Well, I'm sure that there are some type of stats that would attempt to substantiate who dates more interracially. What I'll say is that when we're talking about interracial dating, what that normally entails is that you go out to a restaurant, you go to the movies, you're out in public together. If we were to check the stats for which gender is having more sex with other races, I'm sure that it would be much closer. I don't dispute the fact that most so-called black men are probably marrying or dating interracially more than black women, because more black men are more likely to be in conventions where they go out in public with a woman of another race, or they get married to a woman of another race. Most so-called black women who are having interracial dealings is normally just sex. I mean, no disrespect, but that's normally what it is. So these are things that they won't acknowledge publicly. Like that film that Tyler Perry did, A Family That Prays. The Sanaa Lathan character, she was having an affair with her boss, Mr. Cartwright. Every Wednesday they would meet up in a hotel suite, but he never took her out anywhere. And she actually believed that one day he would leave her wife for him. So, when we talk about interracial dating, first we have to define what dating actually is. I mean, for all intents and purposes, dating is just who you happen to be fucking at the time. But if we really want to flesh it out, it means what? It means having conversations. It means going out, to eat, or to the movies, or to the museum, or what have you. Being public. There are many so-called black women who are having relations with men of other races, but it's just not in public. Mr. Glass says that's because they can, and many have to because y'all are too goddamn abrasive and belligerent. Well, there's certainly something to that. Monica Buttercup said, why complain when the women do it? Mr. Glass says, who's complaining? Monica Buttercup says, up above. Mr. Glass says, he ain't complaining, just making an observation. I agree. Do you think these women are running away from white oppression by going to a white Hispanic country? They seem pretty delusional. I don't think that they're delusional, bro. I just think that they're women. Women by nature are delusional. They're not realists. I can't even call them delusional. He says, and where are the men on this retreat? You mean to tell me these women aren't going to need some dick in their lives eventually? Or maybe just because they're planning on scissoring. Hey, brothers, eventually, when it comes to many of these dynamics with women, they end up getting there, man. They end up getting into that scissor. Monica Buttercup says fucking is not everything. That's why you women have made all these sex toys a billion-dollar industry. Mr. Glass says 8 billion people on planet Earth proves fucking is everything. Oh, Monica Buttercup says, so fucking is the only thing that matters in your life. You know what, Monica Buttercups? I think that fucking is just as important to you as it is to him, because you keep going back and forth with him about this shit. It's obvious that Mr. Glass is on to something. Mr. Glass says, do you understand what I said? Where did I say I thought fucking was everything? I said 8 billion people on planet Earth proves fucking is everything. Now back to these loons. They seem to be very delusional of their importance to the world and are in for a rude awakening when Sanchez runs up on them and tells them to bust it wide open. There are no men there to protect them. Let me say this, since Mr. Glass touched on this. And I mentioned this in a video a long time ago. I can't remember which one. Might have been the Bakari Henderson video that I did. There was a so-called black woman, older black woman from Detroit, who decided that she was going to move or expatriate to a West African country. I can't remember which one. I think it may have been Ghana. So she expatriated to Ghana because she was one of these woke pro-blackity black chicks. And she declared herself an African chief and purchased some land there. And don't you know that she was killed by some of the local men there because they were incensed, number one, that she had acquired land and tried to own land, and also that she was calling herself a chief. So they killed her. One of you brothers could look the story up, just in case I'm getting any of the particulars wrong. But I remember this occurred years ago. It was a so-called black woman from Michigan. If she wasn't from Detroit, I'm sure that she was from Michigan. Super wokety woke, blackety black. She decided she was going to quote-unquote expatriate, meaning go back and live in West Africa. And she tried to bring that woke shit over there. And they showed her that, no, you can't be woke over here. But that's why I say that many of these modern liberal black women, they're being fattened up for the slaughter. They just don't get it. They think that all this stuff is a big joke. That's what they think. They think that walking around out in the street dressed like a $2 hoe and talking about how they don't need no man and they're a strong black woman, they think that shit is a big joke. Like they're going to be able to keep doing that forever. Now, Monica Buttercups, now her real spirit is coming out. She said, LOL, there are no men to rape them. Less men, less problems. So she's already confirming, as Mr. Glass stated, or Mr. Glass alluded to, that this person here, Monica Buttercup, this is just another angry so-called black woman. There's another angry so-called liberal black woman who tries to act like she's not angry and is trying to take the quote-unquote woman's side, because many of these liberal women, they think that it's men versus women. And I'll probably start a series on this in regards to the gender war, because a lot of so-called black women don't grasp this. There is no war between you and the black man. The real war is the powers that be against the so-called black man. They're just using you as one of their pawns. Because if we're really going to talk about men versus women, if there was really a war, men versus women, that war would end in 1 hour. Okay? And 59 minutes of that hour would be you begging for the war to end. Mr. Glass says, and you're just dumb enough to believe that. So Max, I'm a real champion, says, no, it's because for blacks it's a sign of success to date or marry a Caucasian female. Also, most blacks hate themselves deep under and try everything they can to dilute their genes, and that's facts. Blacks have a huge inferiority complex, which leads to, amongst other things, to Afrocentrism. So this most likely is one of these Caucasians trying to get into the circular racial conversation. Some of what he says is true, but it's very obvious that he's infatuated with the circular race talk. I tell you, brothers, this all the time, to avoid the circular race conversation and avoid the circular gender war conversation. For the most part, the liberal black woman and the race-obsessed Caucasian, that's a waste of energy, that's a waste of time. Grace Namwala said, lesbian retreat. I agree, Grace. Ashley Chase said, great video, brother. I enjoy your knowledge and insight. Liberal black females are confused, irrational, and crazy in their thinking. I agree, and thank you. HD Sneed said, the show Queen Sugar will be a good show to decode. I'm amazed by the stereotypes in this show. I haven't watched it. I think that's on the Oprah network. I've heard of it, though. Andre Jones says, it's all gluttonous beasts like selfishness and greed of self-entitlements that they have not merited or deserved. They're jealous of everybody. They're thinking of themselves and not you black men. Sheikh May says, that's hard to digest, but you're probably right since it is such. Ricky Thomas says, true, I have seen this myself. Well, that's mostly what it's about. And I say this frequently on this channel. The liberal woman is a narcissist. They're a self-worshipper. And they'll go to any lengths to get as much attention as possible. That's what the racialist altar is all about. It's about trying to get as much attention as possible. They're talking about a lot of racial shit, and it's because they're looking for attention. And they're frustrated because they've been allowed into corporate America to a higher degree than black men have. And they feel isolated in corporate America because they have not been fully accepted. Because in order to be fully accepted in corporate America, they have to have sex with the white men there. And if they're not good looking enough to get the white man to sleep with them, they basically get isolated. And then oftentimes the Caucasian woman will not approach the black woman in the workplace because they believe that the black woman is angry and is looking to argue or has an attitude problem. So the overall corporate paradigm is dysfunctional, and it's meant to leave a sense of dissatisfaction in the palate of the so-called black woman. And then don't let there be a black man on the job. Don't let there be a black man on the job. If it's a liberal black woman there trying to get to the top of the corporate ladder, whew, all that pro-black shit goes right out the window. You are her competition. You are her enemy, so-called black man. Because she can tolerate anybody else beating her out of that position, but you, oh hell no, you gotta go. The healing mixologist says, all these comments just reaffirm society's hatred for black women and anti-blackness in general. No, I think that what most of these comments illustrate is that the so-called black man is tired of the liberal black woman's shenanigans. That's all. And your comment illustrates the pride and the arrogance that has become directly associated with the liberal black woman, and why I state that in this society, for the most part, the woman is a calf that's being fatted up for the slaughter. She's a lamb that's being fatted up for the slaughter. It's very, very unfortunate. But once again, it's a guilt mechanism. It's one of the main reasons why the liberal black woman has embraced or tends to embrace the racialist altar. Because she feels guilty at the fact that she looks at the black man as her competition. So to compensate for that, she tries to put out all this blackity black shit. Oh, I love my people. I love this. Yeah, you love being black and you love black this and black that. As long as you're on top and you're the head, sure. And everything can go your way. Absolutely. As long as you can get all the credit. Yeah. Copper-colored woman says to the healing mixologist, exactly, this video is evil. Well, copper-colored woman, I would like to have a list of your ex-boyfriends so I could speak to them and find out exactly who's evil. Kalima, hey, this person, his name is Kalima. Now, brothers, don't I always talk about the destroyer goddess Kalima and the mother goddess worship? This person's screen name is Kalima. So far in this video, we've seen a female who attended this retreat who calls herself Witch Please. And her thumbnail was of a witch. Now we see Kalima. So hopefully you brothers are starting to understand what I talk about when I speak about the liberal black woman. They're not your friend, man. Kalima says they're jealous that they didn't have the strength to do what she did. The video and comments are evidence of the mental health crisis in the community. Kalima, I absolutely agree with you. I agree with you that the video and the comments are evidence of the mental health crisis in the community, but it's not the mental health that you're talking about. The video is meant to illustrate the mental health problem of a lot of you liberal black women. And that's not to change you. I didn't make this video to change you. I made this video to illustrate it for the so-called black man. Because that's really what a lot of the liberal black women want. They want to go back and forth all day. I'm not here to go back and forth with you. You make your decision. You make your bed. You lay in it. These videos are for the so-called black man to understand what's going on around him. But I agree. And all I got to do, once again, look at your username. Once again, brothers, when you run into these women that embrace that mother goddess shit, she's letting you know she has no regard, no respect for you as a man. Jubei 187. 187. Sound like murder. The healing mixologist. She's speaking to the healing mixologist. I was just wondering, why is it hateful to despise feminism? Audre Lorde didn't like the white feminist movement interjecting into black lives because their plight didn't coincide with the black woman and the issues she faces. Whenever someone says something unfavorable about feminism, they get upset, but the feminist movement historically excludes women of color and routinely pins the issues of the black woman in their community to the bottom of their agendas. Furthermore, why do people think that by running away from problems, they are solving them? Who are you helping run into a resort owned and operated by the same people who oppress you? They didn't go to Africa, they went to a resort in Costa Rica. I'm sorry if other people are harsh, but black liberal women have spent over 50 years spearheading agendas that don't advance the community they allege needs their help. Well, I agree with you, Jubei 187. I agree with you just about everything that you stated. Okay? I have no idea why you have a screen name that seems to allude to murder, but you know, your comment was on point. I totally agree with you there. Checkmate says victimhood. Black vitriol, speaking to the healing mixologist, and your comments reaffirm your unwillingness to accept black male correction of your aberrant, foolish behavior. Start taking notes, shut up, and mind your place. Well, you know what, Black vitriol, I can't tell the mixologist anything. That's her husband's job. That's not my job to correct her or put her in her place. I can only put her in her place if she comes at me directly. But that's truly her husband's job. He has to work with her. But a lot of these super liberal women, if they are married, they're married to simps. Basically just red carpets. They just walk all over them. Chai Boy 773 said, correction. Liberal, degenerate black woman. Rightful thinking black woman, not including with y'all. Stop trying to clump all together. When most of you black women hate other black women. I agree, sir. I agree. Most so-called black women don't like other black women. Most women, period, don't like other women. That's why this concept of the woman taking over Congress or presidency is a big joke. It's a big damn joke. The woman is supposed to get her comfort from her husband in the household. She gets her support from her husband in the household. That's where it comes from. Not forming some confederacy of sisterhood. Nonsense. It's really just going into a sapphic lesbian cult ideology. Blue Ram 347 responded to Copper Colored Woman. Telling the truth is evil. Sure, get your feminist ass off the video, Trick. You know, she could stay. She has the right to say what she needs to say. You know, she wasn't being overly disrespectful. She can call it evil. It's okay. You know, good shall be taken for evil. Evil shall be taken for good. It is what it is. Al Graves responded to Jubei 187. Well stated. I agree. Illmatic 826 is back. Black women ain't shit. Now get over it. This brother types a half a sentence and everything is just about the black woman ain't shit. Timoteo 4 said, it's funny that I stumbled on this video today because earlier I stumbled on this Vice piece. I watched out of curiosity and thought it was nonsense. I was cool with the woman who left Brooklyn and never went back because that's what I encourage black men to do. Or at least travel a lot. It's okay if you return. On the other hand, she ran because she hit bottom and had no prospects if she returned. So she lucked out and found something else to do. Only 3 or 4 of them are attractive enough to get a man of any color. The one from Nebraska is attractive, but if Nebraska is too white, make a move where there are more black folks. Because, brother, the reason why she left Nebraska to go on a retreat, it wasn't because Nebraska was too white. It was because she couldn't get a white man. That's it. That's what she's mad about. She can't get a white man to swoop her off her feet, man. Let's see here. Somebody in the comments section, that's the screen name, says, and how is Babylon treating you? Bro, the whole world is Babylon. The whole world is Babylon. This is a global society. Okay? Let's see here. Capo Status says, so you need a podcast now. I know you're going to say you don't need one, but your vids is too short. We need a podcast for real, for real. If not, keep doing your thing because I will keep watching and listening. Capo Status, brother, I appreciate that. I might start a podcast. I'm working on something right now. It's just taking longer than I wanted to take. But yeah, I'll probably go into another format. We'll see. But that's going to take a very long time. I have a lot of things that I'm doing right now. Ian Campbell says, this resort sounds like a future Jim Jones. I'm just saying, brother, any resort, anywhere where people are being told to come here to free yourself spiritually and all this other stuff, and it's always based on running from where you're currently at, and you have to go up under some guru or some so-called spiritual leader, that's nothing but a cult, man. That's all it is. That's why I call it a sapphic cult. It's moving towards that direction. Because if you really was about so-called black people, then their men would be there. But we know why the men are not there, because most of these women today, they can't maintain a man. They can't be with a man. Oh, Ken Baker. Yeah, this was the guy who mentioned that this woman here is married. Ken Baker, this guy's a big simp. He's all over my videos. Every time I see Ken Baker, he's saying some simp shit. Ken Baker, this is a no simp zone, man. All right? I'll leave you alone because for the most part, you're relatively respectful, but you're a damn simp, brother. Let's see what Ken Baker got to say. Ken Baker said, this woman is talking about her and her husband trying to build a resort in which women can have a chance to heal. Well, brother, I got news for you. The woman is supposed to be healed by her husband where she's at. And if they leave together. The woman leaving on their own to go on a resort, I would have more respect for them if they transplanted and started businesses wherever they was at, like the cult leaders trying to do. I would respect that more than I'm going here for 2 weeks and I'm going to throw all this money at some broad and we're going to get massages and meditate for 14 days or some silly shit like that. So if her husband is there and she's actually married like you allege, why was he not featured in the video? That's my question. He's supposed to be the one on camera, not her. So either she agreed to represent their organization or Vice only wanted to talk to her because she's a woman and they're trying to project this image of women empowering themselves, when in reality it's a man in the background. Who knows? Her husband might have been the mastermind behind all this. Who knows? I doubt it, but who knows? And on some simp shit, he just agreed to stay in the background. He says, if black men won't support black women no matter what they do, then clearly we are simply becoming a fifth column against black women. Damn, brother. Whew. Shit. You got some liberal black women's panties getting moist right now. Oh, my goodness. Ken Baker, you need to start your own channel, brother. SimpLivesMatter.com. Oh, man. At no time did they attack men, but you attacked them. No, I didn't attack them, bro. I just addressed the issue. Attacking somebody is when you go and you approach them directly and you either say something directly to them, or say if they had a channel where they were trying to promote that venture and I went on there clickety-clacking in the comments. I made a video about this as an end sample for brothers to understand what was going on. But no, I did not attack them. And first off, on my channel, as I always state, 85 to 90% of the content is me addressing the so-called black man. And the percentage of so-called black men that accuse me of attacking them is far lower than the percentage of so-called black women or simps that accuse me of attacking women. That's how I know who's in power in the so-called black community. That's the woman. And guys like you want to keep that paradigm because you're scared of your own shadow. You're scared to be a leader because you're not really a leader. You're a simp. And I say that with all due love and respect, but simpism, that's like a virus that you can't get rid of, man. They don't even have medication for that shit. Right? Simpism is something that you have to hope goes away on its own. Like I get certain brothers in the comments, reformed simp here, recovering simp here. Why is that? Because most likely they probably got their heart broke by some chick. And they were forced to understand that that woman worship shit is not real. But Ken Baker is a big simp. He says at no time did they talk down on any African men, but yet here we are attacking them again. So Ken Baker is probably one of these guys with the long dreadlocks and the Africa medallion on and the kente cloth V-neck dashiki on with the white slacks and the sandals with the toes out. Talking, lighting incense everywhere. Talking about my black queen. It's a shame, man. Nobody's attacking them. Number one, that's number one. Nobody's attacking the so-called black woman. Number two, if you feel like you're an African or like all so-called black people are African, then you have to tell me what tribe you're from. And once you tell me what tribe you're from, if you're so pro-Africa, how come you're not living amongst that tribe? That's always been my question for the Afrocentrists, the so-called pro-blackity blacks. He says, here we are once again not giving any solutions. No, sir, actually my channel, all I do is provide solutions. That's all I do is provide solutions from my perspective. You probably can't grasp that because you think like a woman. You're a woman trapped in a man's body. That's what a simp is. You're a woman trapped in a man's body. If you could, you'd probably stuff a maxi pad between your nutsack for 7 days out the month if you could get away with it. Just so that you could feel the pain of your black mother goddess. You sound really pathetic, brother. He says here, let us just be honest. Oh, you gonna be honest now? We black men are battered wives who will absolutely not ever separate from these people. No, brother, I think that you're a battered son. I'm just going to be real with you right now. Since you said, let's be honest, I'm going to be very, very honest with you right now. I think that you're another brother who's suffering from no father disease. That's what I believe. I believe that you were raised in a matriarchal household, a matriarchal environment, and you were not subjected to that proper balance. I think that you're scared of your own shadow. You talk about how we as a people never going to leave. Well, you should be the one to start. Your screen name is Ken Baker. How come you haven't changed it to a tribal name? Have you researched your tribe from Africa yet? You should have changed your name to a tribal name, and you should have moved back to your ancestral land. And you should be in the comments saying, I'm currently living in Mali, or I'm currently living in Benin or Ghana. And if you brothers were men, you do the same thing as I'm doing. And all you sisters that want to go on a retreat, you come to my place here in West Africa, right, in Cameroon, and I'm going to take care of you. That's what you should be saying. Don't talk about we black men are not ever going to separate from these people. You be your own man and do what's best for you and set the example. Now he says about Lot's wife, she stayed. The reason why he's talking about Lot's wife is because I cited that in the video. Why did I cite that? I like to go to that scripture because it details the nature of the liberal woman. Spiritually, she's a sodomite. What I mean by that, I'm not talking about sexual orientation. I'm talking about her spiritual tendencies are to lean towards